5 challenges you're going to be facing on your weight loss journey and how to overcome them. Hey team, and welcome to this week's episode of The Inspired Show, the show dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the page, hit the like button if you find this helpful, and don't forget to check out free downloads on our free support group in the captions section below. Now, when it comes to losing weight, a lot of people will often look at the food, the exercise, and the movement as to why they may be struggling. However, these 5 things could be what's actually holding you back. And if we can bring awareness to them, put things in place to overcome them, it'll make the food side of things and the movement side of things 10 times easier to help you reach your goals. So the first one is your stress management. If we have poor stress management, what can often happen is we end up utilizing food or alcohol as a way to deal with our stresses, which can be comforting in the short term because it will help alleviate stress. Like, we've all had one of those busy, stressful days, and when we've got home, we've found comfort in maybe a takeaway, a bottle of wine, whatever it may be, and it just makes us forget about the stress in that given moment. However, the knock-on effects of that is we just end up kicking ourselves, beating ourselves up, feeling guilty because we've overconsumed calories, which can then often lead into a variety of different scenarios, whether we just carry on overindulging because we feel we've ruined it, or we end up starving ourselves the next day to try and pull it back, which leads into a binge and restrict cycle. So managing our stress better is super important. So when it comes to your stress management, firstly, it's about identifying the triggers for your stress. Is it a certain person? Is it a certain work environment? Is it certain activities that you do? And when you're encountered by these triggers, it's having things in place to help us overcome that. Is it taking ourselves out of the situation? Is it taking a couple of deep breaths? Is it a bit of journaling? Is it reflection? Is it speaking to a loved one? By improving our stress management will in turn help you massively on your weight loss journey. The second thing that could be holding you back is your emotional regulation. Like, if you cannot regulate your emotions effectively, then often we can turn to food as a way of comfort. So when we're feeling sad, when we're feeling bored, when we're feeling overwhelmed, hell, when we're feeling happy, we can utilize food and alcohol as a way to deal with these emotions, more often not to suppress those emotions. So it's about identifying which emotions you're going through right now, whether it's boredom, whether it's sadness. And again, as with the stress management, looking at different ways to deal with these emotions to give you comfort, to help fill that void when you're feeling bored or when you're feeling sad or you want comforting. And again, having a wide array of self-care activities and things to keep us busy can be super helpful. It could be making sure that you're spending enough quality time with your friends, that you're taking time out to have a date night, you're spending quality time with your children, you may be taking up a new hobby that's going to help you with these emotions. And when you manage those, it's going to make it super helpful for you to help you reach your fat loss goals. Number 3 is your impulse control. So you have a really hard time controlling your impulses to eat. You find it very difficult to spot the difference between an emotional cue or an actual physical cue for hunger. So a really great way to overcome this is to utilize what we call the bowl technique. It's actually where you take a little bit of time, okay? So the B stands for breathe. Nice big breaths. Allow yourself to reduce that anxiety and actually just then observe, which is the O. Observe these feelings you're feeling right now. Is it actual physical hunger? Have you not had a meal today? Was the meal not substantial enough? Was the quality of food not there, which is leaving you physically hungry? Or are you going through a challenging time right now? Okay, have you had a stressful day in work? Have you just had an argument with somebody? Have you watched something on the news that set off your anxiety? And then we L, which is label. Okay, once we label what it is, that will help us decide on what we need to do. Because we've taken the time to breathe, observe, label, we can then make a better decision. Now, if it's physical hunger, we can make a better decision around a food that actually fuels the body rather than an impulse food choice, just raiding the cupboards. But if it's not physical hunger, we can then make a better decision around that using all the coping mechanisms we spoke about previously, whether it's going for a walk, having a workout, listening to music, whatever it may be. And again, just having better awareness of your emotional cues is super helpful for you on your weight loss journey. Number 4 is self-esteem issues. A negative self-perception can really impact the choices around food. It can worsen your eating habits, and it can lead us into a cycle of using food to make ourselves feel better about ourselves, but ultimately taking us further away by gaining more weight and making no progress, then impacting our self-confidence, self-esteem even further. So in order to overcome this, we need to not only look at the food side of things, but also look at paying back our negative self-esteem bank balance, making sure that we're looking at the positives in our life, in our body. We're grateful on a day-by-day basis for what we have in life right now. And we're celebrating all these wins in our life, building up these wins, stacking these wins, physically, mentally, emotionally, paying back that self-esteem bank balance alongside our healthy eating, our regular movement. So we're not only building up our confidence, but we're seeing the weight results we want as well. And number 5 is social and environmental triggers. This can be a big one for a lot of people. When you're in a certain situation, when you're around certain people, when you're in a certain environment, that can really set off your trigger for emotional eating. Things like parties, holidays, Christmases, birthdays, whatever it may be. So having a better understanding of the reasons why you're in these situations and how you should approach them is super, super important. One thing I always say is when it comes to events like birthdays, parties, Christmases, holidays, whatever they may be, whilst it's nice to have some different food and there's nothing wrong with that, if we cannot control it, what we need to really remember is the purpose of these events and these environments is actually spending time with people that we love. So putting a lot more focus into the event and the environment rather than the food and alcohol itself. By doing that, it can help us make better decisions and help us stay on track with our health and fitness goals as well. And also planning and preparation alongside this is super, super important because we can look at techniques such as banking calories, having high days and low days to accommodate things like this, absolutely guilt-free as well, rather than just having a free-fall when it comes to food, feeling really, really guilty, overindulging, and then end up in a vicious cycle of maybe binge and restrict, which holds us back. So if we can bring awareness to these 5 things, it will be super, super helpful for you to help you overcome them and then put things in place to make the food and movement side of things easier to get you where you need to be. Now, what I'd love to know is which one of these 5 do you feel is holding you back the most right now? Let me know in the comments, and what I will do, the one with the highest vote, I'll actually do a dedicated video for that next week to help you guys overcome and become that best version of yourself. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. As always, if you found it helpful and you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and any questions you've got, let me know in the comment section below.